Florida House Speaker causes criticism over drag show comments and Colorado shooting. Amid a speech previewing Florida's next slate of legislative priorities was a frequent conservative criticism about what children learn in school. Representative Paul Renner, a Palm Coast Republican, was sworn in Tuesday as the next Speaker of the Florida House. He said, quote, "Ideologues have pushed indoctrination at the expense of education. They spend more time defending drag queen story time than actually promoting phonics and the science of reading." In this election, moms and dads sent a clear message to these ideologues. Our children are not your social experiment, end quote. To some House Democrats and LGBTQ plus advocates, those remarks set a troubling tone for next year's legislative session, set to begin March 7th, particularly because they came on Tuesday, just days after a shooting at a queer nightclub in Colorado that killed 5 people, terrifying gay and transgender Americans in a year that has already seen an unprecedented volume of policies and rhetoric targeting them. Representative Anna Eskamani, Democrat from Orlando, echoed concerns from advocates across the country who say this year's explosion of anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric has fueled threats and violence toward the queer community. Colorado authorities are investigating the November 19th shooting at Club Q as a hate crime. She added that Renner's social experiment language is commonly used in conservative transphobic spaces, and that his attempt to pit drag events against education was inaccurate. Speaking of social experiments, what's up with his hair? What's up with Ms. Renner's hair, first of all? Second of all, he's just another hate monger spouting the same lies about indoctrination. You know who indoctrinates? Republicans.
And couldn't he use a good drag queen to work on some of that?
Yeah. Beat his face, yeah.
What did he mean about the election? He said this election they proved this. Does he mean this past election?
He's talking about
with the
Florida.
with the redistricted map that was deemed unconstitutional by a judge that they used anyway to just give themselves seats that had. Is that what he's talking about?
Think that
As
is
if
what
people voted for
the loss of Carlos Guillermo Smith is there. It's clearly clear that the gerrymandering took place. That district moved from +9 Biden to +3 Trump from just 2 years ago. And as a result, he lost a super close election to somebody who has never run and to a Republican Party that spent $1.5 million in that House race. $1.5 million. Why would they do that? Because they wanted to make Carlos Guillermo Smith the tip of the sword of going, we'll show you, and that was the end result.
Well, I mean, they're playing their hand heavy on this. First of all, not every voter in Florida is a mother and father. As a parent, I didn't vote for this, of course. And the second thing is, have you seen any Republicans read to kids? Oh, the last one was, I think, George Bush. So let's see how that worked out. But you know, drag queen story time is something that I think is taking on a life of its own. I'm happy to report that at Hollywood Pride this year, we're going to bring back drag queen story time for our youth zone featuring Misty Eyes, because it was one of the signature pieces that parents and families loved at our event, and we're thrilled to bring it back. So
can I
take
just,
that, Florida legislature.
Yeah, can we just point out real quick too that public school, education in public school is more than just the phonics and more than just 1 + 1 = 2. And a lot of what happens in public schools, you get exposed to things that are different than what you know in your home. And that you learn to get along with other people. This is not an experiment. This is to make real good citizens.
Future
of the
citizens,
future.
yes.
And Republicans
Right.
have controlled the government in Florida for
20-something
how many years? And are we the top ranked education state in
so
the country?
low.
We're
48, I
not. So
think.
who are they blaming on the teaching of phonics and math?
If anything, one example
Right.
of how insidious this is, one of the top public universities in America, the University of Florida, rated number 5 in America, puts the crazy former radical right Republican senator in as president, the president of the University of Florida, to the point where all of the professors and the university staff at the University of Florida, as one of the top schools in America, vote no confidence of this new incoming president.
Right.
The insidiousness of what we're watching, we'll have to, let's use the month of December and get through the holidays and enjoy the holidays and come back in 23 and say, okay, now we have a plan to stop this. Because right now, we're getting our asses handed to us, which
getting
is what
dangerous in this
is happening. And one more thing before we move on to the next story about the point of this story. Words have consequences. And the hate speech that we're watching at Tucker at 8 and Sean at 9 or vice versa, and Laura at 10, and what we're watching in radical right have consequences. It's ringing a bell. It's blowing a dog whistle to give a whole cadre of people permission to walk into places like Club Q,
That's right.
which is what the point is that's being made here. You can't marginalize and use your words as poorly as you're using your words and not expect consequences. We're going to see studies in 21 and 22 and 23 and 24 of showing the bell curve of what's happened with the language that we're watching in America. But unfortunately, many, many people are going to die before we come to that conclusion and we change it.
Yeah.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.